The soft glow of a ring light reflected in Zoe West's eyes as she adjusted her camera one final time. A string of fairy lights twinkled behind her, and a pastel map of the US was pinned above her bed, states circled in pink marker. Her room was as curated as her image, warm, carefree, full of vibes. Yet beneath the filters and edits, something raw flickered in her expression. "Hey, babes," she said, flashing her signature grin. "So, I have big news." A soft pause. "I'm hitting the road with River tomorrow. We're doing that road trip we talked about, cozy motels, sunsets, gas station snacks. Just us, the car, and the camera." She laughed lightly. No makeup, no filters, just real life. Her fingers nervously fidgeted with a friendship bracelet on her wrist. One of her earliest fans had made it for her. The camera didn't catch the brief glance she threw toward the closed door, or how she exhaled slowly before continuing. "I'll be vlogging the whole thing, obviously. Unless I lose signal in like the desert or something." She forced a laugh. "But don't worry. I'll be back before you even notice I'm gone." Click. She leaned forward and ended the recording. Outside the camera frame, the glow in her eyes dimmed. She sat silently for a moment, hands in her lap, breathing shallow. Then came a knock. River's voice filtered through the door. "You done?" "Yeah," she said quickly, standing. "You took long enough. I was just, saying, goodbye." There was a brief silence, then footsteps walking away. She gathered her camera gear methodically. Her ring light folded into its case, tripod collapsed, makeup brushes zipped away. As she turned off the final lamp, her room fell into shadow. She stood in the dark for a beat longer, staring at her reflection in the blank screen. Zoe West had 2.3 million followers. Her fans adored her for being real. But in that moment, even she didn't know which version of herself was real anymore, the girl in front of the camera, or the one staring back after it shut off. The next day, her social feed posted a photo of a dusty highway with the caption, "And we're off. #roadtrip, #wanderlust, #justice." It would be the last post she ever made. 2 weeks later, her channel went silent. No vlogs, no Instagram stories, no live streams from diner parking lots with River goofing off in the background. At first, fans thought she was taking a break, a detox, a surprise content drop brewing, but her mother, Lena, knew better. She hadn't heard from Zoe since the day she left. No texts, no calls, not even a "love you, mum." And River. River had come home alone. He told Lena they had an argument, that Zoe stormed off at a rest stop in Arizona and refused to get back in the car. He claimed she needed space, but Zoe had never run from anything in her life, Lena reported. Her missing that same night, police opened an inquiry, but with no crime scene, no body, and River claiming innocence. They had little to work with. Still, something about her last video stuck in everyone's minds. The sparkle in her smile was there, but not in her eyes. She had said, "I'll be back before you even notice I'm gone." But she never came back. And the internet would soon begin to notice. The morning Lena West called the police, her voice was already gone from crying. She sat at the edge of her kitchen table, clutching Zoe's childhood photos like it might disappear. 17 days had passed since her daughter left with River. 17 days of silence. At first, Lena had tried to believe the stories Zoe needed space. She'd call, she always called. But when the days turned into nights, and Zoe's phone rang endlessly into voicemail, Lena's instincts began to claw at her. She contacted River. He didn't answer the first time, or the second. On the third call, he picked up, sounding annoyed. "She left," he said. "What do you mean she's not home? You said she needed space," Lena snapped. "Where did you see her last?" "Somewhere in Arizona." "I don't remember the town." "She got mad over something dumb, stormed off." "I thought she'd call you." "She didn't. And River didn't go back for her." Lena filed a missing person report the same day. Detective Marie Holloway took the case. Her team brought River in for questioning within 48 hours of the report. He didn't lawyer up. He didn't even flinch when they opened with the basics. You were the last person to see Zoe West alive, Marie said. Walk me through that day. River leaned back in the cold metal chair, arms crossed. She wanted to vlog every second. It got exhausting, we argued. She left. I waited a while, then I drove off. Waited. Where? A rest stop, don't remember the name. Desert place. Gas pumps and vending machines. What time was this? River scratched his jaw. Late afternoon, maybe 5 or 6. Did she take her things? No, just her phone. Marie slid a photo of Zoe's suitcase across the table. We found this in your trunk. He shrugged. I figured I'd drop it off later. I didn't think she was, missing. Why didn't you report it? He looked directly at her. Because she said not to follow her. They had no evidence of a crime. No body, no witnesses. Zoe's phone had last pinged near a remote highway. Then, nothing. River was released the next morning, but word had already reached the internet. A fan account posted, "Where's Zoe?" And within hours, the hashtag was trending. Hashtag find ZOEY. Her comment sections were flooded. People noticed the silence. The same people who had cheered her love story with River now began digging into old clips. Reading between the lines, she looked scared here. Did anyone else hear him yell, off camera? Pause at 2:14. She flinches when he walks in. Fan theories spiraled into obsession. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok detectives analyzed audio spectrums. One user broke down her last video frame by frame. Lena watched all of it through a fog of grief. Each frame another punch to the gut. None of it brought her daughter home. Rain tapped softly against the police station window as Detective Marie replayed Zoe's final vlog for the 5th time. She'll come back, her partner mumbled. Marie didn't look away from the screen. She was already gone when she filmed this. Outside, River stood by his car in the parking lot, popping the trunk. Inside lay Zoe's untouched suitcase, still zipped, still clean, as if waiting for a return that would never come. Before River, Zoe's life was wide open sunlight, laughter, followers who loved her for being raw but real. She was just 16 then, riding the high of sudden online fame, capturing her days in soft filters and pastel captions. But fame is lonely when you're still figuring out who you are. And that's when he appeared. River was 21. Tall, effortlessly cool, with dark curls and a voice like smoke. She met him at a local pop-up thrift event she was vlogging for. Her YouTube channel. He wasn't even supposed to be there, just a friend of a vendor. But when he looked at her, it wasn't like how boys in school did. He looked through her, past her filters, into something raw. You don't seem like the rest of them, he said that day, watching her adjust her camera lens. You're quieter inside. Zoe didn't know what that meant, but she blushed anyway. He didn't ask for her number. He just found her Instagram later that night and sent her a DM, still thinking about the girl with the lens. Within weeks, they were inseparable. He brought her coffees at 9 a.m., stayed up late editing her videos, sent her quotes from dead poets. He watched her sleep, made her feel precious. Seen, Lena noticed right away. He's too old, Zoe, she said. What does he want from a teenager? Zoe rolled her eyes. He listens to me. Not like anyone else ever has. But it didn't take long for River to start drawing lines. Why do you still talk to Rachel? He asked one evening, scrolling through Zoe's messages. She's fake. You said she copies your captions, right? She's still my friend. She's using you. I'm just being honest. At first, it felt like protection. Then control. By the time she turned 17, Zoe's world had shrunk to fit inside River's palm. He suggested they merge her YouTube passwords so he could help with security. He started handling her brand emails, filtering which messages she saw. Heath told her that social media wasn't real, love Heath was. You don't need anyone but me, Heath whispered one night, brushing her hair back as she lay beside him. They love the idea of you. I love the real you. Zoe wanted to believe him. She was young, uncertain, balancing adolescence and influence, and River always made himself sound like truth. But, bit by bit, she stopped answering DMs, stopped meeting friends, stopped posting the things that made her laugh. Her feed became moodier, darker, always featuring him. Smile less, he told her, during one video shoot. You're not a little girl anymore. Her mother tried to talk to her, pleaded with her to see the changes. You don't even sound like yourself anymore, Zoe. You just don't get it, Mum, Zoe snapped. River gets me. You never did. One night, after a minor argument, Zoe cried herself to sleep on River's futon. He stayed beside her until her breathing slowed, then quietly reached for her phone. The light from the screen cast shadows across the dim room. Her inbox was open messages, from friends, fans, even a few brands wanting to sponsor her. One by one, he deleted them. Some he replied to first. Short, cold messages that sounded nothing like her. He deleted her recent calls to then placed the phone back in her hand, gently, like nothing had happened. Outside, crickets chirped. Inside, River stared at her sleeping face like a possession, like something he'd already buried beneath layers of obedience. The next morning, Zoe vlogged like everything was fine. She was all teeth and charm. But, behind the smile, something had shifted. The camera didn't catch the way her fingers trembled slightly as she pressed record, and from there, things only got darker. She called herself @ZoeBuffex on TikTok, a superfan with a collection of saved live streams, merch, and nearly every video Zoe West had ever posted. Real name, Aria Mills. 15, introverted, a chronic night scroller with more digital friends than real ones. Zoe had been her escape, her big sister, her mirror dot. So when Zoe vanished, Aria didn't just wait for updates, she hunted. She began by watching Zoe's last 5 videos in reverse order, slowing the playback, turning up the volume in headphones. On her third watch-through of the desert vlog, titled Stargazing and Gas Station Pizza, she caught something. At the 7:03 mark, Zoe looks over her shoulder, mid-sentence, subtle but sharp. Her voice cracks slightly. In the background, a muffled voice says something low and angry. It's almost inaudible, but Aria loops it 5 times. You're talking too much. Then Zoe laughs quickly, as if to cover it. Her eyes dart off camera. Aria leaned back in her chair, heart pounding. She opened the clip in editing software and ran a basic audio filter. The voice became clearer. Definitely male, definitely River. But that wasn't all. In a Get Ready With Me video posted a week earlier, Zoe adjusts her camera with her left hand and, just as she reaches forward, Aria paused the frame. There, a faint blurred shadow on her forearm, something beneath her sleeve. Aria enhanced the frame and zoomed in. It looked like a fingerprint bruise. At first, Aria doubted herself. Maybe it was lighting, compression. But the deeper she dug, the more things didn't sit right. The cuts in the footage were choppy. Not Zoe's style. She always edited smooth transitions. In one vlog, a minute of footage skips awkwardly mid. In another, there's a 2-second frame where her smile vanishes and the camera cuts. Before she speaks, Aria posted a TikTok. Am I the only one seeing this? Hashtag, where is Zoe? Hashtag Zoom, in the post blew up overnight. Thousands watched. Dozens of others started reanalyzing every frame. Reddit threads popped up, dissections, theories, fears. Detective Marie Holloway leaned over her desk at 7:42 the next morning, coffee in hand, squinting at her laptop. Her partner Jensen entered behind her. You're watching fan edits now. Marie didn't look away. No. This is from Zoe's original footage, watch this part. At the 7:03 timestamp, River's voice filtered through. Jensen frowned. She flinches, Marie said. You see? That's not acting. He nodded slowly. Could be emotional abuse. Or worse. And look here, she continued, skipping to the makeup vlog. Pause. Her sleeve shifts. Jensen whistled low. That's a bruise. Marie leaned back. In her chair, we've been looking at this case wrong. The crime didn't start when she went missing. It started long before. On camera, you think he's been editing her videos, or controlling them, she said. Every cut, every silence, it's curated, not by her. The footage flickered across the screen. Zoe sat cross-legged on a motel bed, talking about constellations. The lighting was soft, her makeup light, her laugh shaky. Then barely visible, her smile faded just before the cut. Off-screen, River's voice snapped. "Wrap it up." She blinked, nodded. Then the screen went black dot. Marie hit pause. They didn't have a body. They didn't have blood. But now, they had something else, a trail of digital bruises across the internet, and it was time to follow it. 3 months had passed since Zoe's name faded from the headlines. Her fans still posted clips and speculations, but the police had little more than shaky audio and pixelated bruises. River walked free, and life for everyone but Lena kept moving. River sold his car, dyed his hair darker, and started dating someone new, an aspiring lifestyle vlogger from Nevada. His socials turned private. He posted less, smiled more. But one person couldn't move on. Walter Colburn had lived next door to the Westwood Lane house for 31 years. A retired Marine, he watched everything from his porch: weather, birds, unfamiliar cars, people's habits, especially River's. He remembered that strange week in late June. It was the first hot spell of summer, and the air held that heavy Florida dampness. Around midnight, River had backed his car down the narrow path beside the house, parking with its rear almost touching the shed. No lights, no music, just the scrape of something being dragged. Colburn had narrowed his eyes behind binoculars. The boy was digging. River worked for hours, pausing only to catch his breath. When the hole was finally filled, he poured something from a heavy white bucket. Cement, it looked like. 3 days later, River laid planks and a few flower pots on top. Colburn didn't say anything at the time. No body, no screams, no proof. Just a bad feeling that grew worse with each humid night. It wasn't until the August heat returned and the flies came that Colburn called it in. Detective Marie Holloway stood with her arms folded in front of the shed, sweat clinging to her shirt collar. Her partner, Jensen, eyed the patch of land beneath their boots. "This guy just called out of nowhere." Marie nodded. "Said there's a smell and that something ain't right." Jensen raised an eyebrow. "A smell's not a warrant." "No, but his story might be." She turned as Colburn stepped out from behind his screen door. The old man's face was weathered, eyes steady. "I know what I saw," he said. "Boy was out here digging in the dark. Came back twice the next week with more cement." "You ever see him carry anything heavy?" Colburn paused. "Not clearly, but whatever it was didn't move once he dropped it." Marie glanced toward the ground. "I've seen men bury things before," Colburn muttered, voice low. This wasn't gardening. An hour later, forensics was on scene. The backyard buzzed with movement. Planks were pried up. Potted plants gently moved aside. Then came the shovels. The soil was compacted. Unnatural cement, layered over damp, rotting earth. As the crew dug, the smell thickened. Flies circled Dot. Then came the sound, metal scraping against something hollow. "Careful," someone said. Dot. The shovel hit again, this time softer. A tarp, blue-stained, and beneath it, a sliver of fabric, pink, floral. Zoe's HOODIE. Marie stepped closer, stopped digging. A gloved hand reached in, gently peeling back the tarp. A shattered phone clung to the folds. The screen cracked but visible. Beside it, bones. Small, delicate. A wrist with a bracelet still looped around it. Lena had described that bracelet in her initial report. Said Zoe wore it every day. Marie felt her stomach turn. It was no longer a missing person case. As yellow tape wrapped around the yard, Colburn sat back down on his porch and whispered to no one. "I told you he buried something." Inside the house, River's phone buzzed endlessly. Calls, messages, headlines already forming online. But River wouldn't answer, because within hours, the world would know what he'd tried to bury. By the time the grave was fully uncovered, the sky had turned a washed-out gray. Rain threatened, but never fell, just a low pressure in the air. The kind that made your skin feel heavier. Detective Marie Holloway stood at the edge of the cordoned backyard, arms stiff at her sides. The scent had worsened. Not just rot, but damp fabric, scorched plastic, and something unmistakably human. The forensics team worked slowly, precise, every movement documented. Every layer peeled back like skin from a wound. At the heart of the grave was a blue tarp, stiff and matted with dirt. When one of the techs reached in with gloved hands and gently folded back the corner, time seemed to freeze. There it was. A torn piece of pink floral fabric, the same hoodie Zoe had worn in her last vlog. The one with stars embroidered on the sleeve. Next to it, a fractured smartphone. Its case purple glitter with the word "Shine" spelled in rhinestones was cracked down the middle. The screen was black, but the weight of it was deafening. "Stop. Don't pull anything else yet," Marie said, voice tight. "We need photos of everything as it is." The crime scene photographer moved in, camera shutter slicing through the silence. Nearby, one of the younger officers stepped back and turned away, bile rising in his throat. Beneath the hoodie, the body lay curled in fetal position, bones and skin still holding the memory of who she was. Blonde strands tangled in dirt, a small silver ring still clinging to her finger, and around her wrist, braided and sun-faded, was a friendship bracelet. Lena had mentioned that bracelet in her first interview, said it was handmade, said Zoe. Never took it off. 3 hours later, Marie stood outside the West residence. She didn't knock immediately. She stared at the front door for several seconds, gathering herself. The kind of visit you never get used to, no matter how many times you've done it. Lena answered before the second knock. She hadn't slept. Shadows had settled beneath her eyes like bruises. She looked smaller, somehow hollowed out. Marie took off her hat, lowered her voice. "Lena, we found something. You may want to sit down." Lena blinked. "Is it her?" Marie hesitated, just long enough to answer without speaking. Lena sat on the couch but didn't cry at first. She stared blankly at the corner of the room, as if Zoe might still walk in with her phone in hand. Laughing over something stupid River had said. "I knew it," Lena finally whispered. "The moment he came home without her, I knew." "I'm so sorry. Did she suffer?" "We don't know yet." Marie paused. There were no visible gunshot wounds, but signs of trauma, bruising, broken ribs. "We'll know more after the autopsy." Lena's hands clenched her knees. "Can I see her?" "Soon," Marie said softly, "but not like this, not yet." The media caught wind of the discovery by nightfall. Body found behind teen influencers, boyfriend's home, #Justice for Zoe, why trends worldwide, TRP grave confirmed in missing vlogger, car fans turned vigilante, thousands flooded comment sections. On River's old videos, screenshots of Zoe's bruises circulating again. New threads formed on Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, old posts rewatched with renewed rage. Some lit candles. Others posted reaction videos crying, furious, broken-hearted. For many, she wasn't just a face online, she was a sister, a friend, a piece of their own adolescence. In the coroner's lab, Zoe's shattered phone sat in an evidence bag. Powerless, quiet. But even dead glass can hold memories, and inside that phone, there was something no one had seen yet. Something she recorded, something never uploaded. Detective Marie stared at the whiteboard back at HQ, now filled with timelines, photos, printouts. She moved Zoe's smiling face to the center, drew a red circle, and quietly murmured to herself, "She left breadcrumbs. We just never saw them until now." The police station's interrogation room hadn't changed since River's first visit. Same flickering ceiling light, same chilled air that made the skin tighten. But this time, something had changed. River. He slouched deeper in the steel chair. Fingers tapping the table rhythmically, as if trying to convince himself he had nothing to fear. His jaw was clenched, his face unreadable. But his eyes twitched every few seconds, toward the closed door, where silence pressed in like a second skin. Detective Marie Holloway stepped inside with a folder tucked beneath her arm. She didn't sit. She dropped the folder in front of him. "River," she said, voice neutral. "We're going to give you one more chance." He didn't look at the folder. "I've already told you what happened." Murray opened it slowly and spread out 3 photographs. The first showed the floral hoodie, soaked with soil and blood. The second, Zoe's wrist with the frayed bracelet. The third, the bruising around her neck. River's hands stopped tapping. "You told us she walked away," Marie said. "You told Lena she needed space. But these photos, they tell a different story." He stared at them, unmoving. A bead of sweat formed at his hairline. "We also got the preliminary autopsy report." She leaned forward. "Do you want to know what it says?" River didn't answer. Multiple contusions. Broken rib, bruising around the throat deep enough to show fingertip pressure. Still, he said nothing. Just shifted in his chair. "You didn't just panic," she added. "You crushed her windpipe." He blinked once, then again, and something inside him snapped quietly, like a bone under skin. He rubbed his palms against his jeans. They were damp. "I didn't mean to kill her," he mumbled, eyes still on the photos. It just happened." Marie said nothing. She let the silence breathe. River swallowed. "We were fighting. She said she was going to leave me. Said she was done." She screamed, and I grabbed her. He looked up, finally, his face pale, lips trembling. She fell, hit the wall. I tried to pull her back up. She was crying, screaming, clawing at me. I just wanted her to stop. He ran a hand over his mouth, eyes unfocused. "I didn't mean to I didn't mean to kill her. I panicked." Marie didn't flinch. "You buried her in your backyard and poured cement over her. That's not panic, that's concealment. I didn't know what else to do. You had days. You poured cement, rearranged planks, watered fake plants. She was going to ruin everything," he burst out. "She was leaving me. I gave her everything. And she was just going to walk away, like I never mattered." Marie stared at him for a long, cold second. "She wasn't property, River." River's chest rose and fell in short bursts. She didn't understand. "I loved her." Outside the room, Jensen watched through the two-way glass, arms folded. "He's unraveling," he said. "It won't be long now." Marie stepped out moments later. "Get the DA. We've got enough for murder 2, maybe even murder 1, if we can link the bruises to prior abuse." Inside, River sat alone, photos still spread in front of him. His hands trembled. Sweat beaded down his neck. He stared at Zoe's bracelet in the image-woven pink and white. Handmade, now stained with dirt and death. He reached for the photo. Then pulled his hand back as if it burned. Outside, the press had already begun to gather headlines updated in real time. TikTok sleuths celebrated. Lena watched the coverage in silence, clutching Zoe's baby blanket to her chest. But justice wasn't done yet. There was still more buried in Zoe's story pieces. Only she had recorded. And the truth was about to speak for itself. Zoe's room hadn't changed since she disappeared. The fairy lights above her bed were still there, though dim with dust. Her desk was cluttered with makeup brushes, old notebooks, and a ring light pushed awkwardly to the side. Lena hadn't touched a thing, not the wall of Polaroids, not the stack of unopened PR packages. When Detective Marie returned with a search warrant, Lena stood silently in the doorway, watching her comb through drawers. She kept everything. "Digital," Lena said quietly. She stopped writing in journals after she turned 15. Said paper wasn't safe. Marie found the external hard drive tucked inside a glittery pencil case, buried beneath a pile of Zoe's childhood sketchbooks. It was pink, scratched, and labeled only with a single sticker. Z. Private. They brought it in that afternoon. In a quiet corner of the lab, a tech plugged the drive into a secure station. The files began to populate hundreds of folders, most filled with raw vlog footage, editing drafts, and promotional content. But one folder caught his eye. It was buried deep, mislabeled as taxes_2019. Inside were 6 audio files and 4 video clips, No thumbnails. No titles. Just timestamps. Marie played the first voice memo through the speakers. The room tense. Zoe's voice crackled through soft. Hesitant, like she was afraid someone might hear her even then. I don't know if I'll ever post this, but I need to record it. ... If something happens to MIT was River. He says he loves me, but it feels like prison. I can't breathe around him anymore. The next clip opened with Zoe whispering, her breath shaky. He checks my phone now, deletes messages. He says my followers don't care about me, they just want a piece of me. I think he's going to hurt me. Maybe not today, but someday soon. Marie closed her eyes for a moment. This was no longer just digital evidence, this was a girl trying to scream into silence. Another clip showed Zoe sitting in her dark room. Laptop light casting blue across her tear-streaked face. He said if I ever left him, he'd ruin me. Said nobody else would ever want me again. I don't even know who I am without him anymore. I feel like I'm already disappearing. Each confession painted a picture more vivid than any crime scene. Fear laced her voice. Isolation bled through every word. And then the final video loaded. Zoe sat on the edge of her bed. Her hair unbrushed, hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands. She stared straight into the lens, no smile, no filter. If you're watching this, I guess I didn't make it. Please don't believe it was an accident. He made me disappear long before I was gone. Marie watched in silence. The room around her was still, except for the low hum of the computer. The screen glowed in the darkened lab, casting Zoe's frozen face across the monitors. There was no doubt anymore. This wasn't just murder. It was a slow erasure of a girl's identity, voice, and agency. Until the very end, she had fought to be heard, and now, finally, she was. Outside, Lena sat in her car, gripping the bracelet Zoe used to wear, frayed, soft, damp from her own tears. Back inside, Marie turned to her partner. We don't just have his confession now, she said. We have hers. The courthouse steps became a shrine. Flowers, handwritten letters, and framed screenshots of Zoe's final vlogs formed a memorial that stretched across the front gates. Dozens gathered every morning, candles in hand, holding signs with her face. Justice for Zoe, her voice matters. He silenced her. We won't. The trial hadn't even begun, but in the eyes of the public, it had already started. River's mugshots splashed across every major outlet. News anchors dissected his body language, replayed interrogation clips, and aired expert panels on coercive control in teen relationships. TikTok was a war zone. Instagram, a funeral. But inside the courtroom, things were different. Controlled, cold, strategic. River's defense painted him as remorseful, broken by grief. His lawyer described Zoe as emotionally volatile, suggesting she may have provoked him during a heated argument gone tragically wrong. She was under extreme online pressure, the attorney said. A 17-year-old with the weight of millions of eyes on her. Not everything was as it seemed behind the lens. Lena sat silently in the front row, hands folded, jaw tight. Then the prosecution played Zoe's private vlogs, the deleted files. The world had never seen. Her face flickered to life on the screen, raw, shaking, eyes rimmed with quiet desperation. I can't breathe around him anymore. If something happens to me, it was River. The courtroom was silent. You could hear a tissue crinkle in Lena's hand. Outside, the world watched. TVs in coffee shops, phones on subway rides, news apps buzzing every few hours with the latest testimony. River's face pale, sharp, frozen in courtroom stills became the image of denial. The night Zoe's voice recordings aired, a nationwide vigil ignited. People gathered in every major city, holding candles, reading her words aloud. In Florida, hundreds stood outside the courthouse, dressed in pink, the color of her floral hoodie. A young girl near the front wept softly, clutching a sign that read, "We are all Zoe." In court, the prosecution brought up the bruises, the missing text messages, the forensic edits to her content. Then Detective Marie took the stand. She documented everything she said, not for fame, for protection. She tried to tell the world, and we didn't hear her soon enough. River didn't look up once. His lawyer countered that Zoe had once posted about anxiety, suggesting instability. But the jury didn't seem moved, especially after the video of Zoe quietly whispering. He said, "If I ever left him, he'd ruin me." Then came the cross-examination. Female prosecutor approached the witness stand with the calm rage of someone who's heard enough stories like this to recognize the pattern. She was terrified, the prosecutor said, voice steady. "And you ignored it?" River didn't answer. His knuckles turned white on the table. By the end of the second week, the hashtag River is guilty had over 60 million views. News vans lined the block. Journalists camped outside his lawyer's office. And every time Lena arrived at court, strangers hugged her, offered flowers, or simply nodded in solidarity. But for Lena, justice wasn't trending. It was personal, private. Her daughter's voice, once drowned by filters and fans, had finally broken through, and it wasn't done speaking in a private room behind the courtroom. Marie reviewed Zoe's final voice memo, again her quiet strength. In the face of fear, she knew the end was coming, Marie said to Jensen, who stood beside her. But she made sure we'd know who brought it. The sentencing was over. The crowds were gone. The courtroom echoes had faded into static. River got 25 years without parole. But no sentence would ever bring Zoe back. The house felt quieter than ever. Lena still didn't touch her daughter's bedroom, not the fairy lights, not the stacked notebooks or the soft hoodie draped over her desk chair. But one morning in early spring, something changed. She sat at Zoe's desk, powered on the old laptop, and watched her daughter come back to life. There it was, buried among editing drafts and demo reels, a single video, titled, "If I Don't Make It Back." Lena didn't open it right away. Her hands hovered, heart thudding in her ears. When she finally clicked play, the screen filled with Zoe's face. Her hair was messy. Her eyes were swollen. The background was dim. She looked tired, brave. "Hey, if you're watching this, then I didn't make it. Or maybe I did, I don't know, but I need this to exist, just in case." She paused in the video, taking a breath. "He says he loves me, but it doesn't feel like love, it feels like fear, and I know someone else out there is going through this too. If this helps even one person get out, then I'll be okay with that." Lena sobbed silently, hand over her mouth. Her daughter had known the risk, and still, she tried to protect others. That night, Lena sat with her laptop open, staring at the upload screen. The mouse hovered over the publish button for nearly 10 minutes. Then she whispered, she wanted to help people. Now she will. She clicked upload. Within an hour, Zoe's video was trending. By morning, it had 2 million views. Young girls across the globe stitched it into TikToks. Mental health pages reposted it with hotline numbers. Influencers who once posted beauty tutorials now spoke of boundaries, consent, and hidden abuse. "This video changed my life," wrote one user. "I left my boyfriend after watching this. She saved me, even from the grave." Zoe's voice echoed through the algorithm like a haunting melody, raw, unfiltered, real. Her words became a rallying cry, a symbol. Love shouldn't hurt. Fear isn't affection. If you're scared, get out. Her unfinished vlog, just 10 minutes long, sparked conversations that schools, parents, and platforms had long avoided. Lena read every comment. She cried through most of them. But something in her shifted to grief still. Sat beside her every day, but now, it wasn't alone. There was purpose next to it, a kind of peace. On Zoe's channel, the video remained pinned at the top, no intro, no edits, just truth. And though Zoe had been silenced far too soon, her voice now lived in the clicks, the shares, the quiet moments where a girl somewhere finally realized, this isn't love, this isn't safe, I deserve better. Her channel remains live, frozen in time. The thumbnail of Zoe's last official vlog still greets visitors with a radiant smile. The title reads, "Desert road trip vibes, all pink emojis and soft lighting." Her eyes catch the sun just right, strands of blonde hair falling. over one side of her face, but now, the smile means something different. Something heavier. Underneath that glow was a cry no one heard until it was too late. The comments haven't stopped. Thousands pour in daily, time-stamped from all corners of the world. You were so strong. I wish we had seen the signs. We remember you, Zoe. I got out because of you. Some leave digital flowers. Others post broken heart emojis, or share their own survival stories. In these messages, her memory lives carved not into a tombstone, but woven into the code of a platform that once nearly erased her pain. On a late Sunday evening, a local news anchor recaps the final closure of her case. In a verdict delivered last month, River Hollow was sentenced to 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The case of Zoe West has since inspired nationwide conversations on digital abuse and emotional manipulation among teens. Advocacy groups have launched education campaigns under her name, and a new bill titled Zoe's Voice is being reviewed in Congress. Lena watches the broadcast from the couch, a blanket wrapped around her shoulders. She doesn't cry this time, she just listens. The TV fades into a commercial. She reaches for her phone and opens Zoe's channel again. Her fingers scroll through the videos not for evidence now, but for comfort. Little moments, laughs, messy buns and glitter nails. Somewhere in those archives, her daughter is still alive. Outside, the world keeps spinning. New stories trend. New influences rise. But for many, Zoe was the turning point. She made people listen, and more importantly, she made people look beyond the filters. Beyond the curated smiles, beyond the perfect feeds. In the soft blue light of her bedroom, Lena walks to Zoe's desk. The fairy lights are still strung across the wall. She sits down and takes a breath. The air smells faintly of old perfume and dust. She clicks open the final video again, not for pain, but as ritual, as remembrance. Zoe's voice fills the room once more, soft but steady. If I don't make it back, please remember who I was, not just what happened to me. Lena closes her eyes, and the silence after the video ends feels lighter than before. Somewhere on the internet, a girl watches that video for the first time, and maybe, just maybe, she recognizes herself. Maybe she makes a different choice. Maybe she survives, because now the world knows, even the brightest smile can hide the darkest silence, and sometimes, the truth doesn't trend until it's too late.